welcome to Naughty Nautilus. My name is Corinne and it has been a hot minute. This is going to be my 2025 WIP parade. It's been since November, I think, of 2024 since I posted a video. Life got a little crazy. So the last time I shared, I had been unemployed, laid off from work. I ended up working at Joann starting in December of 2024. So I got very, very busy working a new job in the holiday season. And if you're in the craft world, you know what happened to Joann. I went down with the ship, so to speak. So it was a very crazy few months. And then I immediately started teaching at the community college. So I've had a very busy 2025. And in that, I also dealt with wrist damage. So working in a clothing fabric store, I was rotating my wrists a lot, had pain in both of them over the course of last year, which greatly impacted my stitching. I had a couple of months where I did absolutely no stitching because I physically couldn't. So that's part of the reason for such a long gap here, but I wanted to start fresh, come back to Flosstube, share what I have accomplished. I'm not going to include anything I finished in 2024 at the end of the year, just to kind of clean slate this. I'll probably talk about them in my next update, but I wanted to just recap 2025. So first, I want to share some things that I finished. I'm very excited that I actually got some finishes despite having the issues that I had. I actually have 6 finishes for 2025. Potentially I will have one additional one. I will talk about that when I get to it. But first things first. This is probably the one I'm the most proud of. She's done. So this is Mediterranean Mermaid by Mirabilia. I started her on December 4th, 2022. So she was a lot of work. Last time we spoke, I was waiting on some of more Kreinik, and it finally came in and I got her finished. This was, what is that, May 29th of this year, 2025. So this is actually my first Mirabilia completion. I greatly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the beading and the metallic threads. She's on a 25 count Lugana called Moss Green, which I just purchased from a former LNS. That's no longer around. Yeah. So, and it's 2/2. The skin is 2/1. And actually I did do an extra leg on top for the Kreinik. So you can see, so it gets the nice color in there just because it is a larger count at 25 count. I didn't like the coverage without it, which is why I ran out of the one Kreinik and had to wait for it. But basically, as soon as the Kreinik came in, she got finished. So that was my first finish of 2025. My second finish, deal with my fabric, was a small. This is, and sorry, I keep looking at my notes. This is a self-drafted-ish. Found the pattern, saw an image on Reddit for the pattern, went hunting around for it, could not find it, recreated it from on my own. So this is using DMC, and I'm using a little bit of the metallic here to add some dimension to the chain. This is actually the second time I've stitched this pattern. I stitched it previously and was given away but I really wanted it. So this was a stitch. I started it on May 2nd and I finished it on May 5th. So it's a very small pattern. And I believe I did this as part of my WIP Go this year. So I did do WIP Go. Yeah, so this was a fun little pattern to do. And it's not very large. I do need to finish it. All of these, I have no FFOs. Everything is just in stasis. And yeah, I first injured my wrist in like March, April. So there was like no stitching during that time. And then May I was feeling better, and then I injured it again, or injured the other one in like July, I think. So there were periods where I wasn't doing a lot of stitching. The next one was a start and a finish this year as well. I started it on March 25th and I finished it on March 30. This is from the Subversive Cross Stitch Calendar from 2023. This was February's. So it's just a little stitch. This is, I don't even have what it's on. Oh, this is a 16 count white Aida using DMC. It's all the, oh, I converted the colors here. Probably just using some of the things that I had. So yeah, this is going to go into a little gift exchange eventually. So there's that one. I have another small, and you guys have seen this pattern before if you've seen my videos. This is Romantic Deer. I have forgotten who the designer is, but I will have it linked below. This is a free pattern I got off the Wizardy website, and I used variegated DMC. I don't remember which one it was, but I was trying to not purposely pool my colors. I kind of just let them be, and I kind of like how it turned out. It was a bit of an experiment playing with variegation, and again, this is going to go into a little gift exchange again. So but this one I started on October 5th and I finished it on October 15th. So I probably had some breaks in there from working on it. But if I remember correctly, it only took like 2 or 3 stitching sessions to actually finish it. So it's a fun little pattern. The next 2 finishes I'm also very happy about. You have seen both of these before, and I'm happy to have them done. First one here is going to be Fish and Ships by Long Dog Samplers. I started it on February 4th of 2024, which was a birthday start for me. And I finished it on August 12th of this year. So there, and there she is. This is 32 count Murano by Zweigart in the color light blue, and I stitched it with DMC 4025, so a DMC variegated. Trying to keep it in the frame here. So this one was, I worked on it on and off initially, and then it started being a monthly. Like I tried to get $1,500 a month on it, and I worked on it on and off. At the very end, August, I think I did double that just to try to get it done because I just wanted to be finished. This is one where I did, you know, stitch each individual stitch to try to get that max variegation, and I'm happy with how it turned out. So yeah, we're just exploring the world of variegation. I'm very basic when it comes to my experience with different threads. I still have yet to stitch with like a silk or like a fancy overdyed or something like that. So yeah, but I was very excited to get this one done. And I need to get it framed, but I'm very happy for it. And I'm looking forward to the next Long Dog, but not yet. I did find with this one, I really enjoyed having a monochromatic piece. There's something kind of nice about not having to worry like, oh, what color do I want to go with next? I'm gonna get some bits off of this last one. This is my last finish so far for 2025. This is Whale by AKX Stitch on Etsy. I started this one in December 29th of 2023, and I finished it on October 3rd of this year. So this is 16 count DMC. It's a Charles Craft Ada in antique, and it's all the called for DMC. And I'm very happy. It was a lot of back stitching, a lot more back stitching than I expected. And some of it is not perfect. There's definitely mistakes in some of the stitching in the rostrum, this part down here, but I think it is fine, and I chose not to frog it and fix it. And I don't think you can tell, and no one will ever know except you, if you remember that. So yeah, I was very excited to finish this one too, because again, this was started in 2023, so this was an older WIP. And I generally don't like to have WIPs for a long time. I like to get them done. I like stitching, but I also want to see the progress, and I want to work on new things, but I don't want to work on new things unless I've finished old things. So that is my finishes for 2025. We're going to get into the WIPs I've worked on, starting in just a moment. I just had to resort myself a little bit so that I could grab everything. So we're gonna go in order from my oldest to the most recent, and I will share patterns and everything as we go, and I'll show you my bags too. I only have 11 WIPs, which is a lot for me, but I'll talk about that. This is my oldest WIP. It is in a bag. It's a little like folio style for, I got the pattern from Erica Arndt. It's an alright pattern, but I do like the bag itself. And this is my oldest WIP. This is my only dimensions kit. This is Voyage at Sea, which is a dimensions gold. So this is where we are at. And if I have before pictures, I will put them in to show you what they look like. But I started this in March of 2022, and it's not that big, and it upsets me that this is not done. This used to be a piece I would bring to work and I would work on during meetings, but it got set aside for some other projects, and then I just never got back into my rotation, or it just didn't come up as often. And I have worked on it this year. I do want to finish this year. I'd like to do it by the end of March, because I figure at that point 4 years is too long for a small kit like this. So that is a goal. So I'm gonna, make time to regularly put this out. There's a motif here, and then there's sort of this outer stitching to finish, and then there's a bunch of back stitching and like cording and stuff. So there's still a lot to do on this, but I'd like to get it done. The majority of the stitching is done in here though. So that is Voyage at Sea. My next oldest WIP is Dilophosaurus. Sorry about the zipper. I had them all open except for this one apparently. This is by Outlaw Stitching, which I got off Etsy. And I started this August 1st of 2022. This is in a vinyl front bag by Ragtag Quilt Art. And this is where we are at. And again, you can see it's not a whole lot of progress. I don't have the exact number, but we are now sitting at 80.93% complete, so only 20% to go. It's something like 5 colors that I need to do. So I've done one of them to about here, so I have to finish that in there. I have another one with like 900 colors, and then a couple that are like under 100. So I have been working on color completing this one. At first I was working on the lowest number, but then I decided to tackle one of the larger numbers just to kind of knock out some of these big open areas. So my goal for this one is to finish this one by the end of May. One of the things I'm finding, this is an 18 count Zweigart in teal green, purchased from that LNS. And the fabric is dark, and I'm working with dark colors. And it's also really easy to pierce this in the wrong spot, and I am doing it 2/2 on 18 count, so it's very thick. So I find that I can't work on this one as much. You know, I get to about 200, maybe 300, and then I want to put it down. So I've just decided we're going to try to do about 200 to 300 a month. We should be able to get it done. Maybe if I do more. There, these are very loose plans, but I would like to finish this one as it is very old. My needle minder for this one is also from Outlaw Stitching. It's one of the few that actually matches the project, and then I made this grind guard. All right, my next oldest project is my BAP. Let me just grab it. It's hiding out down here because it is gigantic, so it doesn't fit on my table. But it lives in this giant bag. This bag holds a 17 by 17 Q-snap. I made it specifically for this project. And again, this is one that is, the bag is themed to the project, which is rare for me. And it's just white on the inside. So this one, this project has been somewhat neglected this year. There is some distinct progress from last time. It looked like this last time, and this is what it's looking like now. It's still in the frame and everything. I guess I can kind of pull that out so you can see that corner. I think the last time I showed this, I was working down here, and maybe I had some of these going. So I started working on this back stitching. I got down to here and moved that. We started on the Divine Beast. That's a little thread that needs to be covered up and taken off. So this one, I don't have exactly how big it is, but I am 4.7% complete. This is on a 25 count Lugana in mushroom, and it's all called for DMC, although there's one color that will be subbed because it's supposed to match the fabric, and I don't have the called for fabric, so that's one substitution that will be made. But this is one that I was making really good progress at the end of last year, and I think I've only stitched on it once this year. This is the biggest victim of my wrist problems. The very small motor movements have been very difficult, so stitching 1/1 on 25 count has not really been in the cards. We are on and off with how well I could stitch, but I'm going to try to keep this goal the same, in that I want to stitch about 2,000 stitches per month. The math on that means about 6 years, I think, to finish if I continue that. But if I get 2,000 per month, that'll definitely get me to 15% by the end of the year, which would be fantastic. If I actually do 2,000 or more, it'll get me further than that, but that is the goal. This is my long term. This is one I really would like to see some progress with, but it will be with me for a very long time. Again, this is only 4.7% of a very large project. And the main reason it's in a 17 by 17 is just with fabric management. It was too difficult for me to figure out, so putting it in a larger frame helped me. Is a Riolis kit. Do I have a... So this is what it'll look like when it is done. And this is a project that has not seen a lot of attention. I think I worked on it a few times this year, but this is Cat and Flowers by Riolis. And I started this on December 30th of 2023. And this is where we're at. So I've been working on filling in this. I think I did do some of this black up here and around the eyes. I don't know why this one, I like stitching on it, but I never seem to gravitate towards it. And I don't know if it's because it's a wool acrylic kit. So it's all the kit fabric and floss. And I don't know, I just don't stitch on it that much. And this is one I would like to finish at some point, but I don't really have a goal for it. It's a paper pattern. And I think that might be part of it, is it's harder for me to track the progress. Or I don't know if I'm just kind of sick of gray and brown in here. But I would like to get some of that progress. I think going forward, I might have to jump to doing some of the flowers like on the head, just to get some color in there. But that's my cat and flowers, my little kit, and it lives in this bag, which is one I made, a little like box bottom bag with some random fabrics. All right, my next project lives in this bag. This bag is by Crab Shack Stitchery on Etsy. And she's probably my favorite bag maker. I like the size of them. And they're, you know, they're fun patterns, and it's got like a nice floral on the inside. And I mean, they do have these, her later ones do have these tabs, which are kind of nice if you wanted to like clip something to it. I don't use it that way, but this is The Cats Have Arrived by Owl Forest Embroidery. This was started in February of 2024. This one is on 32 count Murano by Zweigart in light gray. I'm using the DMC options for it. This is a free pattern from Owl Forest Embroidery, and this had been on my 2024 WIP go, and then I had very ambitious goals then on what I could stitch in a month, and none of those happened, and I did not meet the goals even in the first month that I had it. And don't think I've worked on it since. Maybe once since then. I have not worked on this in 2025. This is the one project that has not seen any stitches. This is one that I would like to finish. It's pretty easy stitching once you get going on it. And I would like to try to finish it by the end of February. So it's something like 7,000 stitches, 7,500 stitches that are remaining. It's only at 31.9%. So we will see. This is one that's going to get a lot of love. And this needle minder here, the Cat and the Idiot box, is from Descent Stitch on Etsy. That is where I buy a lot of my minders from. So yeah. And I've got like I'm part of the way up here with all of the top. I think I was working to fill in all the top, and then I still have like the whole bottom portion to do. So that is The Cats Have Arrived. All right, the next one is an interesting set. So this is the Christmas Monsters Stitch Along by Lola Crow. This was her like Christmassy fall stitch along in 2024. I don't remember if you have seen these at all. I believe it started in November, so you probably haven't seen these. And I have completed 2 of the 5 ornaments that were part of the stitch along. So this is what they're going to look like. And I count this as one WIP because they're all going together. But I have completed the Krampus. This is the first one. And Lola Crow packs so much detail into such a small space. And this is on an 18 count black Ada. I got off Amazon, and it's all called for. So that finished Krampus there. And I can't even read my own writing. This was the second one there. So the Krampus was finished in the original 2-week time slot for it. This one was started, and then maybe August I finished this. So the goal for these is to finish the other 3. And get them FFO'd by the end of November so that they can go up on a Christmas tree. I do intend to finish them in mini hoops and hang them up. So that's sort of a long-term goal. I think the largest one is like 1,200 stitches. Not 1,200. 1,200. Yeah, 1,200. I'm terrible with those numbers. And those living in this bag that is covered in cat hair. This is one made by me, inspired by Crab Shack Stitchery. Just using some scraps for this part up here and a fun fabric. I originally made this bag to house my Deadly Aquarium Sal by Lila Crow. So it's sort of unofficially my Lila Crow bag. So yeah. My next WIP in another bag that I made, same idea, using some scrap fabric I had, and I bought this fun one when I was searching for the fabric for that one. I just love this, all the plankton on this bag. If you're new, my background is marine biology, so you will see a lot of like nautical type stuff and ocean stuff. This is what I started after I finished Mediterranean Mermaid. This is Persephone by Mirabilia. She's going to look like this. And I started her in January of this year. Let me get her sorted. So she started in January of this year, January 5th. And this is a needle minder. I forgot who it's by. This one is Descent Stitch there. That one's just holding my key. So working off a paper pattern, having the key easily referenced is good. This is 28 count Lugana in Huntress by Picture This Plus. It is another dark fabric, and I am doing 2/2 in the called for colors. I have mostly just stitched green. I stitched a little bit of this. I don't even know if you can see that. All of it. One of these colors is almost exactly the same as the fabric itself. But I have just been working on dress. So she got a lot of work in January. And then she was on my WIP Go board for this year. I met every one of those. I had categories. And so she filled in for a fancy lady. She filled in for fancy lady. And I think mythology was another one I had. I chose my categories based on what WIPs I had and kind of what would fit. So I had some choice and like, oh, okay, I have to do something with mythology. Which one do I want to pick? So she got some work in. This is one that I find I have to work on it when there's enough light. Even with all of my lights in the house, it's just not quite enough. So yeah, so she's just been dressed. I'm trying to knock out as much of the dress as possible because there's just so much of it, and that is less enjoyable to me. So we're kind of gonna try to fill this space, and I'll probably start working down more in the bottom. So this is like the upper part of her body, and we're working down there. It doesn't look like a whole lot. I can tell what it is because I've been staring at it, but I do look forward to working on her. The plan for 2026 is to, work on her at least 2 times a month just to see some of that regular progress. Ideally, if I could finish her, that would be wonderful, but I am trying to set realistic goals, knowing that it's very real that I won't finish all these things that I want to finish this year. So that is Persephone. All right, my next one, this is the one that I expect to finish this evening. This lives in another just little bag. So I made a smaller size bag that's just, you know, purple on the inside. This is good for like small projects, things that I want to just carry with me. So this is what I used to bring this one. I have another one this size too that were good for like small things when you're traveling. You don't want to bring a giant bag, a giant Q-snap, that kind of thing. I mostly stitch in a Q-snap. This one is being stitched in a hoop. It fits nicely in there. But this is a temperature cell. So if you were around in my early videos, you will know that I was planning to start a temperature cell in March of 2024 that was going to document the first year that my work had been at a new location. Work was doing a stitch along they were doing for crochet and knitting, but I was going to participate with cross stitch for tracking the temperature. I thought it would be a fun thing to do, track the first year of temperatures at the new location, put it up, and then before I even got to start it, I found out I was getting laid off. So why start it? Well, I decided I had it all kitted up. I would stitch it for 2025. So this is called Modern Temperature Stitch. I've forgotten the name. I will put it down here. But basically tracking the temperatures. And I did adjust them not very well to try to incorporate what's more common in my area because I wanted to use all the colors. I severely misjudged that. But here we are. So this is what it looks like where I live. And you will see I just have today or yesterday and today to finish. So I expect to finish this, if not tonight, after we get the highs. I'm basically looking at the daily high for my temperatures. And then I'm stitching it in. So this was, I started this on January 14th. And I have been working on it on and off. I was doing really good getting it the first, you know, every week I would stitch the previous weeks. I didn't do any while I was injured. That was somewhere in here. And then I basically just worked on catching up. And pretty much since about mid-November, I think I've been caught up, keeping up with it. But it's kind of boring. Some interesting things. It did snow here. I am in Louisiana, South Louisiana, and we did have snow in January. And so it was fun to actually be able to use the freezing temperature. So I know that these are actually the days. The first one is the day it snowed and we had more snow on the ground and then it warmed up. But as you can see, it is generally warm in here. Anything in a warm tone, not blues, is 72 degrees or higher. So you can see we are kind of all over the place. It's been an interesting exercise in tracking, but I can tell you I was really sick of some of those colors. And I don't think I will ever do another temperature stitch again. I'm proud of myself for keeping up, but never again. This is on 18 count using DMC. It's a whatever Ada. And again, the sizing is off on this because originally I was going to have more words on it. I also wonder if I sized it for 16 count instead. I don't know. The time between when I prepped this and actually stitched on it was almost a year. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was wrong somehow, but yeah. So that one's expected to be finished either today or tomorrow. So in reality, I will only be taking 10 WIPs into 2026. All right. Only 3 more to go. This is another bag by Ragtag Quilt Art. You can see this one's a little bit chaotic. It has pineapples, but you have all of my threads in here. This pattern is Princess Peach Stained Glass. This is by Make It Pink. It's charted by Make It Pink. And I think I am going to need something behind this one. This is this one here. And don't mind my thread covered board here, but it's small. It is on 18 count black Aida, which that does make it a bit more challenging to stitch on because it's dark. The other thing is this is all using the satins. That's what's called for in the pattern. I had previously started this project and I struggled with the sizing. There's quarter stitches and half stitches, and it was really the first time I had ever explored these. And I struggled with it, and I tried doing it all, you know, over one. So 4 in a box would make 1. I miscounted, and I did it. I think I started this 3 times before this one. And every time I started in the middle, somewhere in the hair, and I always messed up in the hair. So when I decided to restart this one again, which was on May 5th of this year, I started, I believe, somewhere on the bottom here. And I decided to work across the bottom and work my way up. And this being the satins, they can be a pain in the butt to stitch. I cannot stitch as much at a time, but this got progress through WIP Go. I think this is about 3,000, 2,000 or 3,000 stitches. I don't actually know. But it's 39.5% complete. It might be about 3,000. So there's a bunch of stitching, and then there's back stitching on it as well. And this particular pattern I have in Cross Stitch Saga, so it actually does have the back stitch counted. So that percentage includes the back stitching that needs to be done. I mostly use Pattern Keeper unless the pattern actually has Saga available, and then I use that. It's my preferred software. Needle minders from Descent Stitch. This is also one of my first times using a Nurge hoop, which is nice, especially for these smaller patterns. The Q snaps can be kind of bulky, so this is a nice change there. The goal for this one is to finish it in August, so I want to work on it over the year and get it done. I am probably missing things here and there. That's partially because I am out of practice. If there's anything I missed and you want to know, please let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to respond. The next one is in this lovely Batman bag that I made. I even have a little Batman zipper pull for it. I am a Batman fan, had this fabric, figured it was good for a bag. This is a fun project. This is the dog sampler. So this is what it'll look like. I am making modifications to this one. So I'm not a dog. I don't own dogs, but there's a reason for this. So I started this, what is this, June 1st here. And I am doing this 1/1 on 20 count. And this is I'm actually using Anchor for this, Anchor 134. And this is going to be a monochromatic. This is about, I don't have a percentage on this one. This is one where I can't get the pattern into, well, the pattern's in Pattern Keeper, but it does not differentiate the blank squares from the stitch squares, so I don't have an accurate count percentage. I am also changing the words on this. So the original pattern says home is where the dog is, or something along those lines. You can see it there. But I am changing this to a Billy Madison quote. And if you're sensitive to language, there's going to be some language here. But starting under here, it's going to have, you get your ass out there, and the bottom part, it's going to say, and find that fucking dog. Language over. It's a saying my boyfriend says a lot, and I thought it would be amusing to stitch a nice sampler, but then change the words. I'm not really a sampler person, as you can see by some of my other projects. So having a little fun with it was a fun idea. This is a grime guard I have made. Needle minder, best of the 90s cassette tape from Descent Stitch. My needle is going crazy. I do leave my needles on my projects. That is fine by me. This project, I am trying to get 1,500 to 2,000 a month. So this is taking the place of fish and chips. I've not been doing my monthlies as much, but I want to start them again in January. So this is going to get progress every month to get it done. I estimate somewhere between October and December to finish it. So this will be throughout the year. Potentially sooner. This is actually about 25%. The middle of the project's here and here. So I've got a good chunk of it done, so maybe it won't take me as long, but we are erring on the side of caution here. Oh, for this I have 4,184 stitches completed. So I am tracking how many I'm doing. I just don't know how many in total there are. All right. Last WIP. This was started on August 24th, 2025. And this is a bit chaotic because it's partially in the bag. This is a bag I made myself. This, I followed Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch's tutorial. So it's got these cats and arcades, and then it's got a cat lining. But this is Sunrise Cat. This is what it's going to look like. I have forgotten the name. Their name will be here from where I got the pattern on Etsy. This is my, well, there's Gridiron Grind going around. This is my version of it. Instead of following an NFL team, this stitching has been based on how my fantasy football team has been doing. Basically, however many points I get for that period, that's what I have to stitch, times 10. So if I get 100 points, I have to do 1,000 stitches that week. It's been fun to do. I've mostly kept up. I'm 2 weeks behind now, and it finished 2 weeks ago. So it's been on and off on getting it done, but I have done a ton of progress. I am 78.7% complete on this, just with stitching what was there. And it's partially in the Q-snap because I don't want to move it. And I have a lot of excess here, so let's see how I can do this. There we are. So again, it's partially in the Q-snap, so you can see I have the whole top half done, and we are working down at the bottom. We are basically, I have the tail left to go. This is on a 28 count pearl gray casual linen. This is only my second time stitching on linen. I had purchased a cheap linen from Joann, and I didn't really like it, so I've been kind of afraid. I purchased this to try it. This project has been waiting to be started for like 2 years at this point, and I decided it was finally time. Everyone was talking about Gridiron Grind. I was like, oh, let's tie it to my fantasy team just to do something new, because I wanted something new to work on, and I've been really enjoying it. And I find that I do not mind the casual linen at all. In fact, I like it. So that opens a whole new world for me. This is all called for DMC, and it does include blends. And I have been back stitching as we go. This is another one I have in Cross Stitch Saga, so that's part of it. So that's 78.7% includes that back stitching, but all the back stitching is actually done. The rest of it is just stitching, and it is 2 over 2. The goal is to finish this in January. Hopefully by January 11th. The reason for that being, as a teacher now, classes start on the 12th. I am also taking online courses that also start on the 12th. So I'm going to have a little less time. So I want to knock this out beforehand. So yeah, you can see it there. I really do love this pattern. I think it's going to be gorgeous when it's done. It combines my two favorite things, cats and the ocean. So, and boats. Needle minder, descent stitch. So that is all of my WIPs and kind of the plans for those WIPs. Okay, if the camera position changed, we had to deal with some storage issues on my phone here. We left off with plans. So 2026 plans. I am not an intense planner. I pretty much stitch what I want when I want, but I like to have certain goals. So I laid out some of the goals for those projects I already have, whether it be work on it to finish it, when I want to finish it, or just make some progress. Now, I'm hovering about where I like to be with WIPs, but again, if I don't start something, I'm gonna get the itch. So I have to be kind of flexible with my WIP count right now until I knock a few things out. But that being said, I do intend to play WIP Go this year, or in 2026. My first year playing WIP Go, I had very ambitious goals for specific projects. I fell off, life got crazy, other things happened, I did not finish it, I abandoned it. Last year, or for 2025, I had categories. I looked at my WIPs, I looked at patterns I wanted to start, figured them out in categories. I had that. It was either 1,000 stitches a month or work on it for 3 days. Generally, the 3 days was to accommodate for paper patterns that I don't have tracking for, and I didn't want to individually count stitches. And that worked very well. I got most of it done. I think all but 3 that I did not meet. Considering I had a very busy work schedule, I had an injury to both wrists at different times that stopped me from stitching. I'm happy with where I was in WIP Go, and missing 3, that's pretty good. So I thought about doing the same thing for 2026, but instead I decided to focus on just 3 projects for WIP Go on my board multiple times, and these are all going to be new starts. I generally like to keep my WIPs lower in number, and kind of I'm at 10, 11 right now. I'll finish 1 this evening, so I'll be at 10 in the new year. Planning to try to finish some early, so I think we'll be okay with this. So these are going to be What the Cat Saw by Lola Crow, these 3 here. So we have KT Event, Troubled Waters, and Close Encounters. I am doing 3. I have 3 cats. I'm going to adjust the cats to look like my cats, 1 of each. So that is the goal. I will be doing these on 22 count Aida because I have it, and I'm going to attempt doing it in 10th stitch. I've never stitched anything full coverage. These are full coverage with some back stitching, so we're going to give it a go. If I hate it, I'll either switch to 1/1 or find some new fabric. I have a bunch lying around, a bunch of Aida lying around, so we can get that going. So for January, so for each of these, it's going to be 1,000 stitches or whatever's remaining as we get to the end. They're just under 8,000, and they're on the board 8 times. So January, we have KT Event and Troubled Waters that are going to be stitched. So we will see how those go. Other than that, I don't have like long-term plans. I don't do like Miramaid or Mania or Sampler September or any of that. I kind of just stitch what I feel like stitching. If I feel like starting something, I'll consider it and start it. But I don't have definitive plans. These things change. I have sort of loose goals. And that's again because I'm more of a stitch what you want when you want. And with you know, constant problems with my wrists. I have days where it's good. I have days where it hurts. I don't want to stitch. So I can't stitch every day. And I also have life happening. So these are my loose goals. Tentatively, I want to see what the Lola Crow stitch along is going to be for 2026, and I've sort of planned finishes around leaving that space open for it. If not, I will either finish some other projects early or work on something else. I didn't care for Extraordinary Birds, so I didn't participate in that one, but I did do the Deadly Aquarium in 2024. So that's kind of the plan. Get some things knocked out, make some regular progress, maybe start some things, but I'd like to end 2026 with fewer than 10 WIPs. That would be the ultimate goal. We shall see. I have a few projects that I will potentially want to start, but I have no intentions of starting any than the 2 WIP goes for January. So that's 2026 plans. That was what I did in 2025. I hope you enjoyed it. I intend to post about once a month. We're going to see if that works again. I've been getting enough progress. They might be short updates, but we should do that. And if you are interested, you can see behind me, I also quilt. I do intend to post some videos like that. I've posted one before. I'd like to do more regular updates on those. That's been much slower over the year. Again, other projects, injuries, things like that. I had a huge project that was not quilting related that took up about 2 months of my time. It's basically the only thing I worked on for 2 months. And it was also at the height of one of my wrist injuries. So I did not get a lot done. But I'm hoping to record a quilting related video sometime next week. And if you're interested, keep an eye out for that. I hope you'll subscribe. And if you like this video, you want to see what other cross stitching I get into, I hope you stick around. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you in 2026.